Welcome to our final Interrogating Boundaries event of this semester, and thank you for coming. We are very pleased today to have Scheherazade, Jafari here with us from the Tannenbaum Center to talk about a recently published book, Peacemakers in Action, that you see here. I will let her do the talking, obviously, about the book, but I will mention that the Tannenbaum Center is a leader in providing practical programs to diffuse religion-based conflicts. Over its 12-year history, it's led efforts to further the idea that religion can be a key resource in track to citizen diplomacy. The Tannenbaum Center is a non-sectarian, non-profit organization that seeks to change how we approach one another in areas of armed conflict, schools, and workplaces. So I think we're in for a really interesting presentation today, and thank you again for coming. Thank you, Scheherazade.
Hi, everyone. Well, thank you so much for having me and for inviting us from the Tannenbaum Center. I'm really excited to be here. First of all, your campus is beautiful. It's so nice to be outside of Manhattan, and I don't think I want to go back to work after this. I'm just going to stick around for a while. But I'm particularly delighted to be here to talk about our book because we just launched it over a month ago down in DC at the National Press Club. We've had a few other events as well, but really one of our main target audiences for the book are for scholars and students and the community right here at Fairleigh Dickinson. So I'm really looking forward to introducing you to the book and hopefully to having a discussion and hearing thoughts and questions you have after the presentation. But before getting into the book, I'd just like to kind of take a step back and tell you a bit about our work at the Tannenbaum Center, what we do, why we do it, and what led us to writing this book. Tannenbaum Center, really, we start with the recognition that religion is a powerful social force. There's no doubt about that. If there ever was a doubt, there certainly isn't anymore now as we continue to read the stories in our newspapers, the headlines coming from Iraq, the sectarian violence, and other types of religious and sectarian-based violence around the world. It's interesting because nearly 5/6 of the world's population self-identify as religious. 2.1 billion Christians, 1.3 billion Muslims, 900 million Hindus, 14 million Jews, and all of these different identities, these differences cause tensions and they cause violence, whether they are causing wars or whether they're causing tensions in people's communities, in their workplaces, in schools. These are the types of issues that we focus on. And we look at practical solutions to resolving these tensions and this violence. Our focus in doing this, and we're non-sectarian, we're a nonprofit organization, our main focus is really to look at how to change behavior. So not necessarily how to change someone's mind about another person's religion. So as an example, when we're working with employers, it's our goal is not necessarily to change an employer's mind or beliefs about their employees' beliefs. It's not to necessarily have everyone share the same idea of what religion is all about. Instead, it's about promoting respect. So even if you don't necessarily agree with your colleague, you respect where they're coming from and you accommodate them as much as you're able and you keep an open mind. So that's really what our focus is, how to change behavior, how to have practical solutions to this tension and violence. And we work in areas that people spend most of their time, so workplaces, schools, and then also, in areas of armed conflict. Our 3 program areas, again, go back to where the areas that we focus on, religious diversity in the workplace. In that program, we work with employers and employees on how to deal with a religiously diverse workplace. We have trainings on how do you accommodate religious difference, how do you use that as a strength, and how do you use that as something positive to promote growth for your corporation. And we also, in this particular program, we work with healthcare providers, which is particularly important because patients, we've learned, oftentimes make very critical decisions based on their religious beliefs. doctors and healthcare providers need to know at least how to ask the right questions. Is someone fasting, and is that going to interrupt the way that they're taking their medicine? What does this mean in regards to organ transplants, and how can their diet be accommodated while they're staying in the hospital? Things like that. So how to enhance patient care by really understanding what it means to accommodate religious difference. And then our religion and diversity education program, we work primarily with educators, again, training them on how to deal with religiously diverse classrooms. And we have curricula we actually have one set of curricula for K through 6th grade. That's when, children their attitudes are first forming. So when we help educators teach children when they approach difference, to approach it with an open mind and curiosity as opposed to an immediate negative reaction. And we also have a high school conflict resolution curriculum that kind of bridges our religion and conflict resolution program and our religion and diversity education program. And I'll just tell you very briefly about that one because it ties very much in our book and the lessons of our book. It's focused on the case study, which is also in our book, of our 2 Nigerian peacemakers, Imam Ashafa and Pastor James Wuye. And these 2 individuals were actually in their youth the leaders of opposing religious militant groups in the city of Kaduna, which has experienced lots of tensions and violence over the years. It was particularly tense when they were young. And they were actually training their fellow youth to go out and fight the other community. And throughout the years, they actually each individually had a religious transformation where they came to a point of forgiveness based on their religious beliefs. And today, they're actually leading the largest interfaith mediation group in Nigeria. So they've gone from religious militants to religious peacemakers. And today, they're training some of the same youth militants that they once trained to fight. They're now training them to be peacemakers. So our Coexist curriculum for high school students focuses on their story and derives lessons from them and how they can be applied to the students' own lives in the U.S. or elsewhere in their own communities. It's academically rigorous. It teaches world studies lessons, geography, and it teaches on Islam and Christianity. And so far, it's been a very great success. It's piloted in the Bronx last summer. And it was very interesting, and just being involved with it and having met the students, it's very interesting for me to see how the students themselves actually made these links between what's happening in Nigeria and the tensions revolving around religion, and what's happening in their own communities and the tensions revolving around race and ethnicity. Okay? And then our program on conflict and religion and conflict resolution. That's where our book really was born under. Our religion and conflict resolution program operates on the premise that religion can be and should be a positive force in conflict resolution, and particularly that grassroots religious peacemakers have unique skills and techniques that are very valuable and very critical to resolving conflicts, some of the worst conflicts today. And what can we learn from them, and how can this be applied in track 2 citizen diplomacy? How can it be valuable for diplomats and their secular counterparts? There's a gap in this knowledge of the role that religious individuals at the local level can play, and so one of the ways that we're trying to fill this gap is with the book, which I'll get to in just a moment. But the book itself focuses on the stories of the peacemakers that we work with at the Tannenbaum Center. Through a worldwide nomination process, every year we identify religiously motivated peacemakers from areas of armed conflict around the world. They're often working at great risk to their own